Over the years, you've heard me ask wealth manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So on our Across the Desk feature this morning, I am hosting emergency medical service personnel, and I want us to find out more about the work that they do, like we ordinarily do when we bring in different professions on the Across the Desk feature. These are people who respond fast during an emergency, often working under pressure and in challenging conditions to save lives. They have to provide that urgent medical care and bring calm to chaos. As I said earlier, they're literally our life saviors. But sometimes I do wonder what are some of the mistakes we make in an event of an emergency while we wait for the emergency personnel. Like, what should we be doing? What should we not be doing? If you are in the industry or you've got questions, you can give us a call. You want to maybe join this conversation. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. My guests in studio this morning, we've got Owen Manhire, who is a paramedic and director of RALMAD. Owen, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Thanks, Clemens, and thanks to all the listeners of 702.
We also have Shanelle Ayres, who is an intermediate life support practitioner and owner of Revive Medical. Shanelle, welcome to the show as well. Hi.
Thank you so much for having us, Clement.
And Ntsapho Mhlawuli is a paramedic and general secretary of the South African Emergency Personnel's Union. Ntsapho, thank you for also making time. Hi.
Hi, welcome. Want to greet the family and friends of 702.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for making time.
Yes.
So let me just start with how did you end up in this industry? Let's start with you, Owen. Is it something you've always wanted to do? How did you end up here?
It's a good question. I really can't define at what time exactly. I made up my mind. I can just recall when I was doing my matric and went to do job shadowing. And I went to one of the, I think, largest private ambulance service in South Africa, and I fell in love with it. Then from there, from completing matric, I just went and studied the profession.
Oh, wow. And for you, Shanelle?
So it was never actually my first choice. My first choice was actually to be a forensic scientist. Yeah, and like Owen, I had to do some job shadowing, and obviously it's not very easy to find forensic scientists in South Africa to job shadow.
Yeah.
And at that time, one of my best friend's brothers was a paramedic at Netcare.
Yeah.
So I was like, look, I have to do this project. Like, can I just ride along? So he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So anyway, I rode along, and that was the end of it. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And I mean,
Jeez,
I've always...
What happened on that trip?
Literally... I'm sure if you ask most people in the EMS, it's the initial adrenaline rush.
Yes.
You get addicted. It really is an addiction. But I know if you ask people, their usual answer is because I want to help other people. And honestly, like, yes, that is one of my answers. But also I've been drawn to the unpredictability and the urgency of emergency medicine.
Yes.
The fact that you are that first point of contact in somebody's trauma, and this is their worst day of their life, and they call you to trust you, to help them, to make them feel better. And I think being the calm in someone's chaos is just very rewarding.
Yes. Ntsapho?
Yes, Clement.
And how did you get into it yourself?
One of my cousin sister approached me around 2020. It was 2004 after my matric. But I declined because on that time, when you see accident, see paramedic responding, I said to myself, no, I cannot go in that side. Yeah, it was not my future career that I was looking. Because mine was to coming the best one of the CA in South Africa. But due to the finance, I end up after matric not getting to go to university.
Yes.
So after that, I started to hustle, 2004, 2005. In 2006, I decided, hey man, let me consider this to do this course. Let me go find out. But I end up enjoying because it end up to be my call.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fascinating because sometimes we don't realize that by you not ending up as a forensic investigator or analyst, actually you are being directed to your calling, because now you end up doing something like, even when you say Ntsapho, you end up doing something that you really love. And now you feel like, I'm home now. I found something that fulfills me.
Yeah. The way that I end up enjoying, when you receive a call, you go and assist the person, especially those code 1, P1. On the road, you will even, if it's possible, you can fly.
Yes.
Yeah, because you always think about what you will do if it's an NVA accident, or what will people maybe, for example, is a big accident. It's your choice when you arrive. Who must be started? It's depending on you. Who must save first?
Who do you?
It's a very big decision.
Yeah.
If people are 4 or 3 in the accident, and you are first through to arrive, it's your decision. Who I must start?
Who do you start first?
So
let's look at Owen, the different categories. Like when you get called as emergency medical service personnel, do they tell you like this person is at this level of injury? Are those things required so that you know what you are expecting, at least when you get there? Like, do you have categories of how worse or how better or how bad it is?
We do. We call it a triage system.
Okay.
So when someone phones an ambulance, it goes to a dispatcher.
Yeah.
Dispatchers are medically trained people. They do know that speaking to layman people, so they try to break down into simple terminology. They start asking you questions like, are they able to talk? Are they responsive? What nature of accident is it? Past medical history, are they known, for example, if you are cardiac, are they diabetic? Such information is what they're going to use over the phone to actually do what we call triage, to see how urgent the emergency might be. There are also limitations in it, because sometimes you get someone who's phoning you. They're in a state they can't even explain what's really happening. Sometimes it's even kids. Kids these days are very smart. They even know how to phone emergency medical services. So it does have limitations, but yes, there is a way of sorting those emergencies out. We call it triage.
Okay.
The highest one is what my colleague just mentioned now when he mentioned P1, which means priority 1. That means it's the most severe, life-threatening call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how do you guys get there so quick, Shanelle? Because sometimes like this, like in a case of an accident, it happens now, and the next thing you know, Revive Medical is here. Like, how does that happen? I mean, I know you guys obviously drive fast on the road. We have to move for you guys. But sometimes it's so instant. I'm like, it's almost like you've got these, vehicles ready at the corner of every road.
So a lot of times that is actually what it is. So you'll find it a lot, not really with the government services, but a lot of private services, they'll have different bases everywhere. So, for example, Netcare has a base in different districts. So they cover a certain area, and they will only cover up to a certain area, because there's no point in responding to an accident that's happened 40 kilometers away. So that is actually essentially how we get there so fast, because we are in the area. We are based at certain points in the area for fast reaction.
I see. And then the driving, do you take like a driving course, like to be able to drive that fast?
No, actually, it's actually not a prerequisite. I feel like it needs to be. I feel like every person who drives an ambulance, who works in an ambulance, needs to have some sort of advanced driving skill. But no, it's not a prerequisite. Yeah, look, you have to have your driver's license, obviously, and the more you do it, the more used to it you become.
Yeah.
So obviously it is a skill that you learn. But yeah.
Do you ever panic, Ntsapho, where you see a situation and it's like you think this is the worst I've ever seen, and how do you deal with the panic? Because if you, as the medical emergency personnel, you're panicking, can you imagine the people there whose loved ones are probably the ones who need that urgent care? How do you guys learn to regulate that? Because some of the cases are very, very devastating.
Yeah, first thing, when you respond with your partner, on the way you discuss, you are responding because you received a call, as my colleague said, having is an accident, 4 people or 5, or is a collision, we need to rescue, everything. But on the way is where you start to prepare yourself with your partner, because it's very important, both of you, to be prepared. You discuss, what if this accident is like this? When you arrive, and for example, you see it's a very critical one. I once respond to the one that it was a bus, maybe it was 23 seat, if I still remember correct. And when you arrive, people are outside, and you start to panic to say, where we begin to start. But we always, your partner must be next to you. Because once you start to spread, is where you're going to lose and you're going to panic. So you always communicate with your partner. As a senior, you give the direction. Okay, let's start with this one. You check the scene is safe, everything. Then you report about you need to pick up. While you do that communication, sometimes it helps you to become down. Then you start to treat. But sometimes it's difficult, even after that scene, all those things coming back to you. Yeah, what you see, sometimes it's difficult. When you see the body of a person doesn't have a head.
Oh God, do you guys see therapists? Because do you talk to someone about these things?
We should.
I hope you do, because it's hectic.
Especially in government, is a space that we EMS as a whole, nationally, we don't have that special section. And it's needed because the way it affects us, it end up changing even our behavior.
Yes.
It affects even our families. Some, they get a job while we're not using, for example, drinking. Some, they get this job, we're married. But if you check the status, the way it affects us, I experienced that when I get married in 2015. My wife will always, when 2016 got pregnant, then when you start to panic, I said, no man, it's code 15. You're not sick. It's a natural, because it's the way that angles calls, and you end up change your mind.
Your mind.
You're not panicking while you need a care. Then you end up feeling you that, no man, this man doesn't have that care.
Because you come in with your thing.
So it affects you a lot.
How do you, I'm sure have you dealt with like severe cases as well, like that really are traumatic? And how do you deal with, do you talk to maybe a partner at home? Do you have colleagues you talk to about some of these traumatic cases?
Yeah, look, for me, yes, I think I know I've got the best wife in the world. I always got distress when I get home, and that helps a lot. I think what Shanelle also mentioned, it's very important to seek going to counseling, because you could be used to doing this for so many years you've been in the profession, but at the end you're still human.
You are.
There are certain cases that I feel I'm good at dealing with until maybe I respond to an accident for maybe a child who's about the same age with my niece. So now it becomes a bit close to home. So yes, you might be okay with time dealing with majority of the incidences, but for me personally, I think you still have one or two calls that are going to actually hit you.
Yeah.
You need to have someone you talk
That you can talk to about those. Do you ever get emotional? Are there cases that ever get to you? Or are you trained to, there's no time for emotion here? Like, there's no time for Shanelle to be crying here. I'm sorry. Like, she needs to work. Like, how do you bring yourself back to be in the moment? I know myself, I would be devastated. I don't know how I would be able to even respond like that in a rational way.
So no one actually teaches you how to deal with it. As far as I understand, they have started bringing it into the studies now with the younger generation, because obviously, and I'm sure Owen and Ntsapho can agree with me, the EMS is actually filled with a bunch of broken people. And you just need to focus on that situation that you have at hand. The calmer you are, the calmer you can make the patient. You can freak out later. Like the fact that you now are responsible for this life, you can't feel your own emotions while you're busy with them. And it does. I mean, I went through a time in my career that actually, when I went home, my mom would be like, "You're so cold. Like, can you actually just care?" And I never saw myself like that until I reflected, and I said, actually, like, I'm very hard. Like, you almost put up this wall that to protect yourself from your own emotions.
Sure.
And once you break that down, you become very vulnerable, which is why I think a lot of people in the EMS don't seek help, because they've just learned to deal with it, and they know that if I get help for this, if I open up and I talk about this, it's never going to stop.
It's never going to stop. And yet you need to learn to suppress your emotions when you are in that moment.
Exactly.
You can be emotional later.
Exactly.
Sure. What a way to put it. All right, it's 25 minutes after 10 o'clock. We're going to continue this conversation after the break. I've got some WhatsApps coming through, some calls as well. I want them to also tell us about what we need to be careful of, perhaps when we find ourselves or our loved ones in an emergency while we wait for medical care. What questions do you have? What inputs do you have? Give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. It's 26 after 10.
Across the desk
With Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
29 minutes after 10 o'clock. Let's listen to this WhatsApp voice note. I'm going to ask you guys to please wear your headphones, and then we'll get to the headlines and come back with some more calls and WhatsApps.
Hi there, Clement. Just with regards to the paramedics and driving of ambulance, without any advanced driving type of accreditation, that sounds a bit scary, because I mean, the guys are expected to drive fast to get to scenes of emergency, and I would take it for granted that there's a requirement to have some sort of an advanced driving, skillful, tactful driving, so that you don't endanger other drivers, motorists. Thank you.
Yeah, Clement, roughly around 5 years ago, my little brother committed suicide, but before he passed on, he had eaten something, right? So we did call an ambulance. He was alive for maybe 3 hours after he took that substance. And then the ambulance just did not come. So we started to wait by the main road, hoping that the ambulance will come. And there was an ambulance that passed by. We stopped that ambulance, tried to get some assistance from it. So the driver was the only person there. So he told us that as per the law of this country, they are not allowed to take anyone from the road, especially if he's alone. And the unfortunate part, by the time that the one that we had called came, it was a little bit too late. So it goes to say that sometimes there's loss. Anyway, guys, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, that's quite hectic. All right, I'll get them to respond to some of that after the headlines. It's 10:31.
Across the desk
With Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
10:33. I'm hosting emergency medical service personnel on the Across the Desk feature, finding out more about the important, incredible work that they do. I've got your calls, Sean and Mfundo. I'll come to you in a moment. Owen, do you have rules as emergency medical service personnel not to take people on the road? So what is that a rule that exists, that does someone have to be from a house or unless of course it's an accident? How does it work?
So I think in that voice message I would want to isolate. I think there are two cases that I would want to isolate. The first one would be the caller mentioned the phone for an ambulance for an poisoning incident. And if I recall right the facts, I think he waited more than 3 hours, he said. Those are the realities we do face. I wouldn't know which area he was, but in these big metros, such as your Joburg, because of the population, there's so much demand on resources. And always the demand is always more than what we have. That is what we had mentioned earlier, what we call a P1. That's life-threatening emergency. But the realities are, in metros, big metros where the demand surpasses supply, it might so happen. You end up waiting so long because there are so many other emergencies that called in before yours, and there are just not enough resources. Okay? So that's very unfortunate, I should say. Your question you asked me, are we allowed to pick up patients by the road? In this voice note, what's interesting I need to highlight is the caller mentioned there was one person in the ambulance. By law, an ambulance should be manned by at least 2 qualified paramedics, right? And the idea is the one who's driving, and actually we don't have drivers in this industry. You're actually a qualified paramedic with a license, so you're not a driver. So you need one who's going to drive the vehicle and one at the back treating the patient. So from the merits of this case, my understanding is there's no medical personnel at the back to treat this guy's brother. So then that becomes, you can open medical litigation for yourself. That the patient is in your ambulance, how did they demise in your care? You were not rendering medical care. So in this case, it's very, very unfortunate for this family. But what the ambulance medic said on that day, unfortunately, yes, it is true. We are allowed to pick patients anyway.
Okay, got it. Let's go to Mfundo, who's calling us from Pretoria. Mfundo, hi.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Sure.
A wonderful program, and the medical emergency personnel are actually my heroes. I work in the industry. I'm a doctor myself. And whenever they come into our hospital, I get a feeling that here come our heroes. Because they're the first guys to get there in time. Now, my comment and my question is, I hope that there is a mechanism to protect them while they are out on duty. In other words, from physical harm. Do they have any training for self-defense? That is one thing. The other thing, are they properly insured legally? Because that is a high-risk job. Anything can go wrong. And I want to presume that litigation can be a problem there as well.
Great.
So they are my heroes, but I would like them to be safer as well in the execution of their wonderful duties.
True, yeah. Mfundo, they are heroes indeed. Thank you so much for your call in Pretoria. Ntsapho, do you want to maybe talk about the self-defense one, and I'll get Shanelle to respond to the insurance. Do you need insurance? Do you ever get concerned that some people can maybe try and go for litigation? Because we've heard in Ntsapho of cases where you get attacked as emergency medical service personnel when you go to certain areas. I mean, it still surprises me that there are people who want to target the same people who are coming to help them. How do you guys deal with that?
That is a very challenge that we have at the moment of a safety in our field as a paramedic. Especially there are areas that you not go without police. Some of the delays are coming from those situations because we don't train to defend ourselves. We don't have that cause. Ours is to save the life. And it can take a lot Now, if we can say, let's be trained to defend ourselves, that means when you arrive in a scene, you need to fight first. That is not our job and is not even our scope of practice. But what we look is if the scene is safe. If it's not safe, it's whereby you will see an ambulance turning back and running away. That is only our option that we have because of these attacks. And sometimes the attacks are coming from our communities. Wait for ambulance for more than 3 hours, as the voice note said. So those things are out of control. Especially in here in Gauteng.
Do they sometimes try to rob you guys as well?
Many times. One incident was very painful where they hijack an ambulance, take the colleagues and put them in a shack. So it's very painful when it comes in the issue of safe. Even now, the ambulance are having cameras. But the people are taking you out of those cameras. That's why we in other areas that we know that this is a red zone, we wait for police
to come.
Even if it can be P1, person is dying, person is giving birth, we'll wait for police.
Sure.
If the police are attending the scene, we'll wait for them.
Yeah, and that time someone else is probably dying. Shanelle, the issue of insurance, do you guys need to insure yourselves? How do you deal with that?
So everyone that is qualified is is registered with the Health Professionals Council of South Africa. So essentially, that is sort of like our insurance. They are obviously, depending on whether you're in the right or wrong, they're supposed to back you up. I know a lot of companies, like my company, we have medical malpractice. So any medics that treat under our name, they're protected by our medical malpractice. So yeah, each company should have that. I know with cases like doctors, they're an independent entity, so they have their own medical malpractice. So it just depends on the company how much it's valued at.
Okay.
But we are insured.
All right. It's 19 minutes before 11 o'clock. Sean, Philemon, I see you guys. I'll come to you after the break.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
17 minutes before 11 o'clock, medical emergency service personnel's the people I am hosting this morning on our Across the Desk feature. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Sean, you're calling us from Craighall. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Good. I just want to find out, Clement, is there an age limit to becoming a paramedic? I'm 51 and recently retrenched, and I was in a certain field where I had to train to be a first aider. I was a first aid level 3 plus. I was a first responder, and I really, really enjoyed it. I just want to find out from your panel if there's an age limit and where can one go and study to become a paramedic if there isn't an age limit.
All right.
Thanks, Clement. I'll listen on the radio.
Wonderful. Sean and Craighall, thank you. Owen, is there an age limit? At 50, can you still get into it? And where do people normally go to study? I imagine there are several schools for that.
Yeah, look, I don't want to really answer on behalf of the educational institutions on age limit. I wouldn't be too sure. If I have to weigh in on it, however, I would think let him still try going to university, because now it's done through universities.
Okay.
Right? My take is when you identify people who come with this kind of passion, these are the kind of people we really want in the industry. So I recommend he just gives it a try. If he stays in Craighall, I'm sure it's in Randburg. The closest university could be University of Johannesburg. Netcare also does the same training. I think those are the two closest to Randburg. So I'm sure you can just Google and find those two institutions.
Okay, got it. There was a question also about CPR. Is that should we know how to do that, Shanelle? While we wait, or what's your advice normally as emergency medical service personnel? Is if there's someone who is critical, should we try as their loved ones, maybe resuscitate them or just call the ambulance and stay away because I may make things worse?
Definitely. I think everybody, no matter who you are, should know how to do CPR.
Okay.
It should be something that is taught in schools, workplaces. Before you have children, you should have a course. Everyone should know how to do it. Thankfully, if you had to call in as a bystander into an emergency contact center and explain that this person is unconscious, you're not sure if they're breathing, you're not sure if they have a pulse, the call taker is trained to walk you through it. So they will tell you, this is how you need to check for a pulse, check if they're breathing, what kind of situation are you in. Okay, doesn't sound like the person has a heartbeat. Let me tell you how to start CPR. So, yes, you can be walked through it, but obviously, if this is not your daily job, you are in that fight or flight mode. So, you may not remember how to do that CPR when it comes time to that, even if you have learned it.
Okay.
So, I think that's really important for all the call takers to be able to help talk through someone to do CPR.
Okay.
But yes, the earlier you start CPR, the more
better.
chance of you being able to successfully resuscitate that person.
Okay. There's a question here in Ntsapho about just the common cases that you guys see. What are some of the common cases you get called for?
Common cases, it is an accident, medical, patient,
So someone who's been sick and not so much. So mostly you're saying it's accidents though?
Yeah, accident, I'm talking about where the car involved, step, where people will step.
Okay.
Yeah, then you respond. Then on medical, there are cases like diabetic, high blood, and other medical issues that you respond to them.
Okay, got it. It's 12 minutes before 11. We'll come back with some WhatsApps.
Across the desk
With Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
It's 10 minutes before 11.
Good morning, Clement, and welcome to your guests. Lovely, lovely feature. I work in the animal welfare industry, and I'm an inspector. And on some weekends, I work on standby, and we also get called out for emergencies. Some emergencies relating to animals attacking people, some relating to just animals. And often we are also called out by the police to assist them when they want to make an arrest, and we have to remove the animals for them. So I know exactly what you guys go through. We see some really, really gruesome stuff, but there is nothing better than the feeling of knowing that you helped save somebody's life. There is nothing better. It makes it all worth it. So while everybody is running in the other direction, we are running upstream. Thank you for your service, ladies and gentlemen. Inspector Chivaviro.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your visitors. I just want to find out from your visitors as to when they get to an accident scene and they realize that, hey, this is a family member or a friend or simply someone that they know. What is their reaction towards that kind of a situation? And thank you very much. This is Ntsapho here from Zamdela. Thank you.
Morning, Clement. My question is, in the event of a major accident, you see there's various ambulances from different companies. So when they ferry people to hospitals, do they establish if this person has a medical aid so that they can, if it's a Netcare ambulance, they then take them to Netcare, or how do they know? I mean, a person can't speak and they are in a serious accident. Where do they take them? Do they take them to the private facility, or do they take them to a government facility? I'll listen on the radio. Thank you. Walter from Cape Town.
Hi, Clement. Please ask your guests, how do they reach patients like at informal settlements where the vehicles can't reach? They have to go by foot. And as the second question, when they get to a scene and the patient is, for instance, a criminal or someone who did something really bad, do they feel like they want to, do they get an option if they want to help the person or not?
Okay. Great questions there. All right. There are so many. Let me divide them for you guys. So, how do you reach informal settlements? And also the question of criminals. I'll give that to you, Ntsapho. And then maybe, Owen, you can respond to how do you establish if the people have medical aid and how you deal with that. And then there was a question about what do you do if you arrive and you find someone you know, maybe a neighbor, a relative. Have you guys ever been in any of that situation where you get on the scene and suddenly, oh, there's a cousin or a neighbor or a friend's friend? Have you ever been in a situation like that? But let's start, Ntsapho, with the question around informal settlements. And when you get there and maybe that was a criminal who is injured, what do you do?
As our scope of practice, we treat everybody. If it's a criminal, not criminal, our concern is to save the life. Yeah, it's very difficult situation to respond in a formal settlement. Most of the time is where the robberies are happening because you need to left the ambulance. Some formal settlement even is difficult, even to take the stretcher to go to the patient. You need to use zip stretcher, and it's difficult in some situation. You'll find that you'll walk maybe 500 meters and that person is only two standby, the one that call ambulance and maybe is a family member. There is no people around and the person is heavy and you'll need help, even to move around, formal settlement, electricity, you need to look, you jump, those kind of risky. You can end up those hazard, but because we want to save, end up past those circumstances to get to the patient. But it's very difficult to respond in those
areas.
And
Owen, the question about medical aids and how do you know where do I take this person?
Yeah, it's a very those challenging situations. In this case, you're saying the patient can't talk. So the best we could do there is at least look in your wallet, if we can identify any card. Some of these new smartphones, you have this emergency button. When you press, you get personal information. In the event that you don't have evidence that they might be under any health insurance or medical aid, you might opt to maybe taking them to state. So at least when they wake up, they're not faced with high medical bills. It's best then if it's to answer, maybe to have your medical aid card where it's very easily accessible.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe save it on your phone,
wallet,
on your wallet.
It helps.
Okay.
But I know some cards these days are now digital. They don't have physical cards. So at least by phone, I think most smartphones have where you save your contact information. Yeah.
Okay. Shanelle?
So the question was, what do we do if we get to a scene and it's someone we know or family
Have you been even in that situation?
I have. Luckily not a close family member. I mean, I have treated family members, but no one that was serious enough to cause a rattle within me, basically. you treat it like you would treat any other patient. Obviously, when you see it, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is someone I know. And all these thoughts are going to run through your head. What if I cause more harm? Like, you start doubting yourself. But the main thing is to just keep calm. Again, if you freak out, they freak out. So you treat them like any other patient. You do what you can for them. There isn't really a rule in the emergency world, on the road, that is at least, against treating your own family members or friends.
Do you guys get family members who often call in even when you're off? Because they were yeah, they're not gonna call an ambulance, but I'm gonna call Shanelle even you're off that day.
People you haven't spoken to for years. So we know you're in this field. So I just want to. I've got this pain and
right here,
and it's it's been a week. And I'm like, friend, you should just go to the doctor.
Go see a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it happens a lot. Oh, guys, Owen, Shanelle, and Ntsapho, thank you so much for joining us. You guys are our heroes. You really are the people who literally save our lives. So we really appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much for having us, Clement. It was awesome.
2 minutes before 11.
Travel isn't just about destinations. It's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place. Whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.